methods and coping strategies for executive functioning, and their advantages and disadvantages for each. The first method is using a planner. Daily and weekly planners are helpful. They are portable, can be carried anywhere, and have spaces for each day and week in advance for things to be written down. This is a great way to be organized and reminded. However, one downside is that the planner has to be with you and you need to write something down. Even though it is easy for a planner to be carried in most places, it is not easy for it to be carried everywhere. For example, certain situations may call for things to be written down where the planner might not be available for you. Trying to remember it until the planner is available can be difficult and can actually discourage the use of using it. In addition, there is the risk of forgetting to bring the planner or losing it somewhere. Moreover, writing things in a planner can be time-consuming because the planner has to be opened up and flipped to the right page. This can take time. This might sound silly, but even a half-minute worth of time can pose a significant discourage to someone wanting to use it, especially when they're busy. The second method is using a calendar. Calendars are great to organize and use for pencil storing for future reminders for future events. However, the disadvantages are that they can only be used wherever the calendar is hung up. If you need to quickly write an important event before it gets forget zoned, you need to be at the nearest wall where the calendar is making its home to. The third method is writing a to-do list on a sheet of paper. A piece of notebook, printer paper, or even a sticky note can serve a great alternative to bulky, slow-down flipping planners or a large static calendar. A piece of paper can always be at your service. It's lightweight, cheap, and can be folded up into different shapes, big enough to put into a pocket. In spite of the advantages, there are disadvantages too. Like planners, you can lose a sheet of paper as well. Sheets of paper can have the tendency of being lost or misplaced more than anything. It is tempting to set down papers or accidentally throw them out. Lists on paper can end up continuing on other sheets because previous ones end up getting missing. Careful attention needs to be made when keeping papers organized and with you at all times. This very statement probably doesn't sound silly to you right now, and that's why you'll end up losing them. Furthermore, planners have the ability to have all the deadlines together in the past or future. If you desire saving your lists, you need to plan additional methods in filing them. Moreover, with every piece of paper, you also need something to write with. Storing writing utensils in your pocket can be dangerous. It doesn't matter which direction it is pointed. If you trip and fall, it could stab into your gut, organs, or worse, heart if pointed upwards. The fourth method and coping strategy that people with executive functioning struggles may find helpful is writing a to-do list on index cards as an alternative to paper. Index cards have the same advantage of a sheet of paper, but with the additional advantage of it being smaller, rigid, perfect size for writing lists, and fitting into your pocket. This can be purchased in different colors, filled into card holders, or put in nice card filing systems. However, like paper, they can still be misplaced easily. You will again also need a writing utensil to accompany it. The fifth method is writing lists using smartphones. Paper, planners, and index cards can be easily lost. A calendar may not always be at your vicinity, and a writing utensil may not always be with you. However, a smartphone generally will be. It is a good alternative with many different advantages. A smartphone is portable and has a significant less chance of being lost compared to pieces of paper. Psychologically, people hold on to their smartphones like babies and keep track of them better because they are more available. This might seem like an obvious reason, but there are many less obvious reasons too. You can write lists without a pen or on your smartphone with a built-in word processor app, or download other apps that are great for organizing. Such apps include planners, calendars, and sophisticated ways to write and organize lists. In spite of the advantages, these advanced organizational aids can also leave you still left in the dark when the battery goes dead. You cannot always rely on smartphones 100%. In addition, writing stuff down on a smartphone takes a longer process compared to pen and paper. Moreover, it is harder to write things on a smartphone because you're dealing with typing on a on a pad with various lighting conditions and glare. It can be difficult to see smaller text. This may not be a noticeable issue when texting your friends, but it is when writing things down in the form of a list. Opening up an app, even as a shortcut, and writing important dates on a sudden moment's basis on an electronic device can actually be quite difficult if needed to be done quick. The sixth method and coping strategy that people with executive functioning struggles may find helpful is using reminders on a smartphone, watches, or other portable devices with that feature. The above strategy mentioned so far are great, but they all lack one fundamental advantage that is crucial to helping people not forget a deadline: the lack of any kind of alarm or notification to wake you up from a daydream. Smartphones and watches give you the ability to remind you of upcoming events during the day in advance notice. Even when perfect lists that are written flawlessly, there is still the chance to forget the list. After all, if you don't remember an appointment, there is a higher chance you'll assume there's no appointment and no check-off list. An alarm system could save the day. Smartphones often have built-in calendar app that gives you the ability to set alarms on specific days. If you don't have a calendar on your smartphone that can give you reminders, you can still remind yourself by setting a timer on your clock setting to go around the deadline. Usually a simple beep is enough to get your reminder an appointment, even if it's not written down specifically. Watches are useful in the same way in that they can be set to have alarms to go off. However, keep in mind that smartphones and watches aren't too 100% reliable. They still get its power from a battery. Furthermore, you don't want to rely 100% on the alarms and then forget to bring your phone. The seventh method is relying on other people. Papers can be misplaced. Smartphones with apps and alarms can run out of power. Caring for people, however, can always be a great alternative energy source. A good buddy can also be a good method of reminder systems. If you have a close friend, roommate, a spouse, or live with your parents, don't forget that they can help keep you on track if they don't already. Sometimes other people will remember a specific date better than you can. We're all human and we all make mistakes, but two humans can lessen that chance. Of course, don't rely on them 100% either. Other people will forget too, especially when it should be your responsibility in the first place. The final method and coping strategy that people with executive functioning struggles may find helpful is actually not one tool this time, but simply using more than one of the tools already mentioned at the same time. Using multiple strategies can help counter the weaknesses of each individual strategy. Since different methods have its own disadvantages and can still make organizing tough, using multiple methods is helpful. For example, if you like using smartphones for its calendar to remind you, but find it slow to write lists, you might find also having a piece of paper or note card with you to be helpful. The note card can also be used as a list to transfer specific long items on a calendar at home. In this example, 3 strategies were used to help eliminate some of the potential pitfalls that using just one strategy could bring. This may sound kind of obvious, however, many people overlook this suggestion. The final tip does also have disadvantages as well. It can make organization tougher. Relying on multiple items for organization and reminders can increase the challenges of keeping these tools organized as well. Multiple tools will also increase the challenge of keeping track of them and not losing them. After all, you're keeping track of more than one item. This can quickly make organization as a whole tougher and make people discouraged again about organization as a whole. This might sound somewhat absurd when say discourage organization as a whole, but this is actually true. People will actually stop using any method of organization if they feel it takes considerable amount of effort to use it. Remember, it takes more effort for a person on the spectrum to switch focus from one thought to another, and this includes having to stop whatever they are doing to write something down. So in summary, this strategy may be helpful for some, but sticking to one strategy might be better. You have now probably noticed something in regards to different coping strategies to the executive functioning struggle. Each method has its advantages that can be helpful, but also have drawbacks that can pose risks into not using it. There is, however, best method to everybody. The best method is actually different for each individual. The best way to tell which method works best for you is to simply try it. If you find it not helpful, try a different method. If you find two methods work, do them both. It's not about trying to look fancy or cool, it's about finding your most effective method in helping you be organized, responsible, and a happier individual as a result. But remember, there isn't a perfect method. You'll still have to exercise executive functioning efforts regardless of what methods you choose. But out of these strategies, there will definitely be one that will help you the most. You might even come up with your own strategies. As long as it works, use it. If you know any other information about executive functioning struggles that I did not mention, or know any other helpful tools or strategies, please comment and let everybody know. My goal is to provide insight to those struggling in the area similar to me, and if you find there is anything I did not mention, please share. I hope you find this video, as well as all the others that I've uploaded, helpful. Thank you for watching.
And please subscribe.